Hello and welcome to a new episode of the Yarnflakes Podcast. My name is Audrey. I am a knitwear designer from the southwest of France, and this is a podcast where I talk about all of my fiber creations. Thank you so much for joining me on this new episode. I hope you're doing well. We are in my office with my yarn stash. So if you're new around, I just moved places. So we are experimenting different areas where I could film the podcast. So that's it. If you want to play a little game, if you're ever really bored of what I'm saying, you can have fun making color combos, thinking what goes together, etc. It's organized, I promise. So yeah, I have quite a few projects to share with you. I have some color work, again, quite color themed episode. I seem to have a lot of these in the past few months. I am really in the mood for color mixing, colorful stuff, color work, everything that has to do with colors. So yeah, I am going to start. So you can find timestamps to all the different sections of the podcast in the description down below. So if you want to skip anything or look into a project in particular, you can check this. I also put links to everything that I talk about, the yarn and the patterns. Can't talk already. The yarn and the patterns that I will mention, as well as links to my social media, my patterns which are for sale on Ravelry, Behave and Lovecraft, and my Patreon page if you would like to support my business. And I'm going to start with what I'm wearing, which is a new pattern that I just released, and it is the Hyphen Yoke, which is a top-down yoke with a geometric colorwork design. So you start with the neck, the ribbing, which you can make shorter if you like. You do some short rows at the back of the neck, and then you have this colorwork motif, which is nice and has only short repeats, so it's a maximum of 16 stitches at the end. No floats to catch at all, and yeah. Then you knit the yoke a little bit more to the desired yoke depth. You split for the sleeves and the body. You knit the body straight. There are short row bustards if you knit them in the pattern. You have some colorwork motif at the end, twisted ribbon hem. Then you pick up for the sleeves, which you taper with some decreases until the cuff, which also has a little dotted motif before the cuff. And yeah, so this is a fairly beginner-friendly garment. So if you've already done a little bit of color work, this could be a first garment because, like I said, there's no floats to catch, short repeats. It kind of means that your tension is much easier to handle, especially if you're using a woolly yarn that is good for color work. I used Boucle Laine Wesson, which is a yarn from Brittany mostly. So Boucle Laine is a French brand of yarn, and if you're a colorwork lover, I highly recommend you check them. So this yarn was gifted to me for this collaboration. It's been gifted to me a long time ago. I talked about this a little bit when I was knitting it, because it took me quite a while to find just the right type of design that I wanted to make with this yarn. It's a blend of different sheep breeds. So some of them are from the Wesson Island, some of them are from Brittany, and some of it is Arles Merino instead, actually. So, and it makes a really nice blend. It's one of those dry, woolly yarn that is not prickly at all and not scratchy. It's just nice and warm, and it blooms really well when you wash it, and it makes a really, really nice colorwork fabric while being quite light, in fact. This will work well with any plum fingering to sport weight yarn. So yeah, feel free to have a look at the testers projects to check out what was used. Some people used Drops Nord, which is a blend of wool, alpaca and nylon. Derrière Natura Ulysse, of course, will work. Yeah, a bunch of possibilities. And yeah, so I recommend to wear it with little to no ease or negative ease. Like I said, there are bust darts if you need them. Circular yokes fit is very personal and it depends on what you like. So if you do want something with more ease, you could easily adapt it. The construction is simple enough that you can shorten the yoke depth if you want to. You can modify the body length and the sleeve length, so you can work around if you do want more ease than what is recommended. But yeah, it's also very fun as usual to see all the different color combinations. Just simply reversing the contrast. So some of the testers' version have a lighter background with a black colorwork and it looks so fun. I also have one tester who introduced a third color. She just put a pop of a different color in between certain areas and it looks really cool. So yeah, you don't need to go all neutral, minimalistic like I did. And yeah, if you are interested in trying out Wesson from Boucle Laine, there are yarn and pattern kits that are available, should be available, if not now, soon, at Boucle Laine. So yeah, what more did I want to say? That's about it. So the motif was inspired from a previous design of mine, the Ceramic Cal, which was the Mystery Knit Along from last year. I just took a part of the design and just sort of extended it, and I really like how it turned out. I like how intricate it looks, well, just being a short repeat actually, which makes it a little bit more easy to knit. And yeah, I didn't have much brown garment, and I find that I actually think it's probably the neutral that suits me best compared to grey or beige. It might be a bit repetitive with my hair, but I do like it. I do like it. So yeah, Hyphen, which I hope you will enjoy. And yeah, so the pattern is 15% off for the release on Ravelry with the code Hyphen. I will write everything down. I thought the name was fun with the little dash and dotted movement in the yoke. So yeah, that's it for this design, which I hope you will enjoy. And yeah, I also have a lot of work in progress at the moment, and 3 of them I wanted to share with you. So the first one is a new design that I'm working on, and it's quite rare because it started with a silhouette idea. My design ideas usually come from either a texture, a colorwork drawing or something, and it's rare that I want a certain shape, a certain silhouette. It's quite unusual. But last year I released a sleeveless top, a tank top for the summer, which had an A-line body. And I thought that I wanted to make a t-shirt with an A-line body as well. And I wanted it to have a V-neck, and I wanted it to have saddle shoulders. So I haven't knitted a lot of saddle shoulders. It's quite rare. I've been knitting for a long time, and usually when I design something, I have done quite a few of them personally before. Saddle shoulders I haven't done much, so I just went with a really simple construction, which you will see. Basically, this is how it looks. So you knit the 2 saddle pieces, and then you pick up stitches for the front and the back, and you work the body this way. And I am using this beautiful, beautiful green, which is from Lana Grossa, and it's their plant fibers in yarn balls, which is in their Linea Pura range, which if I'm not mistaken, it's like their range for natural fibers or interesting constructed structures. So this is 80% linen viscose and 20% linen. So basically you have a really soft, smooth yarn, which is kind of what you expect with the viscose, but it's not as flimsy as pure viscose. Pure viscose I find is a bit too slick, a bit too sleek, a bit too soft for my taste. This is pretty well balanced in my opinion. It has 2 billion plies. It has like 5 plies, which are, each of them are already 2 plies. So it's a rather round yarn. And despite all the plies, I don't find that it splits so much. And most importantly, it has gorgeous colors. Not most importantly, but also importantly. It has really good, deep jewel tones. I have been looking for a bottle green for a summer top last year, and I had a bit of trouble to find it. And so I'm really glad I found this one because it has a good range of color. There's a really beautiful lilac as well. It has neutrals and pastels too, but they do have rich colors. I'm usually very happy with the Lana Grossa yarns. All of them that I've tried, I really like. So yeah, you might keep seeing them from time to time. And this is what I used for this. So I wanted a lace motif on the lace panel on the saddle shoulder, and I considered making something subtle. It lasted about 2 minutes and then I went with this, which looks complicated and is not, which is my favorite kind of lace. So it has these twisted stitches, kind of fake cabling going on, which is simple to make. And then these bubbles, which are stacked up and make little dashes like this. And I really liked it because you can stop the repeat at a lot of natural points. It's only right side rows. It's, yeah. I just really like lace that is cheating, basically. And so yeah, that's the saddle shoulders. You have an edging on the armholes which prevent it from curling with the slip stitch. And then I already did the V-neck shaping. It's gonna be a rather low V, which you could fix by knitting the ribbing longer or changing the number of increases that you do here before joining. Not changing the number of increases, but the speed at which you do them. And yeah, I have been binding off purlwise everything, which add this little extra line. I've also did this here basically. So the slip stitch detail here and garter stitch is done at the same time as the rest. And then I just picked up stitches and bound off purlwise, which add this nice line here. Yeah. And I've knitted this super quickly. It grows really fast, and I'm not using that loose of a gauge. It's 25 stitches per 10 centimeters, so fingering weight gauge, and yet this is like 3 days. It's just really motivating. And so the body is going to be an A-line shaping. So I'm increasing every 2 centimeters or so on the body to have a nice flowy shape. And yeah, this is how it's looking so far. And obviously, when I tried this on and I had the lace and everything, and I was like, oh, that looks so nice, I want it to be on the full sleeve. So it's going to have several options in the pattern. So there will be this top version, and I will also make a full sweater option with long sleeves and a straight body. And yeah, I just want to make so many different versions of my design ideas lately. It's difficult to describe and market a pattern when it has different options. I haven't found the right footing with this yet, because I feel I'm confusing people, or that they are seeing two very different things attached to one design, and they think that they think that maybe it's a complicated modification, or that it's not. It makes things a bit unclear, and I haven't found the right way yet for me to describe multiple options like this. And yeah, it's a bit, it's bothering me a bit, because, for example, I don't know for this, what do I present as the first picture in the pattern? Like, do I make because I'm going to make a second sample, which will be a sweater. Do I make a montage of both? Do I just show this and say, hey, it's a top for the summer, and then when it's winter, do I switch the picture to the sweater one? That's not really useful for me, I think, because my pattern sales are not really seasonal. It's a bit odd. So yeah, I don't know. I'm afraid I'm confusing people, but I really can't help myself. I just really want both versions, and I think both look cool. And I know that anyway, when I will call for testers for this, I know some people would like to make a version with full sleeves anyway. And I think it's nice, and I want to show both versions. I've talked about this recently because it's something that really is on my mind, because I have a lot of design planned for this year, for which I want to make several samples. And I just feel like I'm confusing people by showing very different things as one. I don't know. Anyway, the sweater I will make probably using this, which is Madeleine et Philibert, which is a French indie dyer. This yarn I bought a while ago. It's her Memo sock blend. It's 55% merino, 20% mohair, 25% nylon. Fingering weight. It's plied, so it's the yarn that has the mohair already spun with the rest of the wool, and I really like it. I really like it because you have the softness and the sort of slight halo of the mohair, but it's not as hairy. And usually these yarns, you're not supposed to focus with the front camera, so I don't know what you're doing. Clearly fighting with my phone. I really like the definition in this yarn, usually, in this blend. So this is the colorway Alicante, which is where my family is from, in Spain. So that's kind of why I bought it. It's more purpley than it seems to be showing off on the screen. I really like it. It's beautiful. So yeah, this will be my sweater. I think it will look really cool in the lace. So yay. And this will probably come out in May if everything goes well, which it should, considering how fast I'm knitting it. And yeah, I hope to have made a little bit, to have advanced a little bit on the sweater when I call for testers, which might be in February. But yeah, I will see how it goes. And if I somehow find a way to describe a multi-option thing, it's not that different either. It's just that, I don't know. I feel like it makes very lengthy pattern descriptions as well. I don't know. Let me know what you think. Are you bothered when you see like 25 possibilities? Are you like, oh, I don't know then what to choose? Or does it look like I'm indecisive? Which I am. But maybe it shouldn't be a problem. I don't know. Yeah. This will be called Telesto for the Saturn moon, which, I don't know, I just thought it was a nice word and it suited it. So yeah, and this green is really beautiful. I hope that I will be able to take nice pictures of it. It's kind of the problem with this, is you want the main picture to show the interesting features of the pattern. So I will kind of have to twist myself so that I can show this, but at the same time it's a V-neck, but it doesn't have sleeves, at least in this version. So yeah, it's designers' problems. Yeah, that's it for this work in progress. I have a couple personal works in progress which I wanted to share with you as well. And the first one is something that I am knitting with one of the advent calendars that I got last year. I got the half advent calendar from Artemis Yarns, which is a French indie dyer, which makes beautiful speckled and variegated colorways. And she had a advent called Ariadne, and I got the half version, so it was 12 minis plus one full skein. The full skein is gorgeous. It was this one. It's called Loneliness. I absolutely adore it. And it came with a mini, like a sock set. And the mini that was here fitted really well with the other minis as a fade, as a gradient. So I ended up with 13 minis, and I just wanted to make a shawl, you know, a garter stitch shawl. Like, there are so many of them out right now. A lot of people are knitting the Sophie shawl from Petite Knit. I've also seen Sarah OP as but OP is like overpowered, and it's funny. I wonder if perhaps she thinks of her name as overpowered, which she should, because she makes beautiful designs. But she has the Grove shawl, which is in DK. The fingering weight is called Solstice Engrain, I think. Anyway, quite a few garter stitch shawls with an I-cord edge at the moment. The Sophie shawl has an interesting smooth construction. I'm not following any pattern, and I'm not making my own pattern. I just want to make a garter stitch shawl, basically. What I'm doing is a triangle, and I wound all the minis, so I had 30 minis, and I wound them into balls. So I have one ball, which I will use for the first part of my shawl. Basically, I'm increasing constantly until I finish this ball. Then I have the center mini of the fade, which once I'm going to use half of that, I'm going to stop increasing and I'm going to start decreasing. So I make a triangle, basically. And then I will continue decreasing with the second ball of minis. So this is what I have so far. And yes, I'm in the middle of the row. So I just casted on a few stitches in I-cord. And yeah, I'm increasing continuously on one edge, and I'm not doing any fading, any stripes to fade the colors in. I don't care. I'm just stopping whenever it stops, basically. The fade between, like, this is actually two different minis, see, and it's quite a subtle change compared to these two, but doesn't matter because the proportions are all going to be wrong anyway, because as I'm increasing I'll have more stitches, so the stripes of each mini is going to get smaller. But I just wanted something simple, squishy garter stitch with an I-cord edge, and just to enjoy the little speckles. I really like this brown. Yeah, I'm in the brown mood. And yeah, so this is just a relaxing project that I'm doing in the evenings. I think, yeah, a lot of people are knitting those just basic garter shawls at the moment. I think it's kind of a trend that people want something simple and relaxing. It just comes and goes. After all the lace yokes, now we're at garter shawls. And yeah, I'm gonna make a really bad transition from simple and relaxing to a fingering weight, colorwork, steeked, Kitchener stitch assembled blanket. I started the Indian Nights blanket by Jenise Hope. So I have made the Persian Dreams blanket, which I loved and I use a lot, and yeah. And I wanted to make another one of Jenise Hope's designs because they're beautiful. The Indian Nights blanket is gorgeous. It's like a rectangle. It has some geometric motifs, some birds and elephants. It's really, really nice. And so I started it. I have been collecting yarn for it for a while. I had trouble finding what yarn I would use to find the full color range, because there are 17 colors used in the design. You don't need to use all 17 because it's only 2 colors per row round, so you can use just 2 colors basically. But I mean, I wanted to do the full color things. And the original pattern is in Knit Picks palette, and we don't have Knit Picks in Europe because they hate us. And it's in the pattern description, there is a pattern file as well. There's a table which tells you what kind of color each of the palette number that she used corresponds to. So she says this is like a light blue, this is coral, this is brown, this is dark red, etc. So you can sort of try and find your own color combination. Yeah, I could have tried doing it with Arweta from Filcolana, but it would have been a bit more expensive and there wasn't as many nuance. And I saw some Ravelry projects in Holst Super Soft, and I do really love Super Soft, but the thing with Holst Yarn Super Soft is that when you knit it, since it's full of spinning oil, the yarn, when you knit it, it's ugly. It looks very irregular and it's unpleasant, and yeah, it doesn't look good. And when you wash it, then it blooms and it makes a perfect colorwork, for example, and it's a really nice fabric once it's washed. But I didn't want to work an entire blanket, which is gonna take me a long time, and have the work in progress be ugly. So yeah, I didn't want to use Holst Super Soft for this. What I wanted was kind of a sock yarn that would be sturdy, but also, that was very French, sturdy, but also very colorwork friendly. So I ended up going with Lana Grossa Melane White, I don't know, this, which is a typical European sock yarn. It's 80% wool, 20% nylon, and when they say wool, it's not merino, it's like a blend of different types of wool. And I do like these yarns for colorwork in projects that needs to be sturdy, because they have a little halo and they fluff up well enough that it makes a nice colorwork while having the nylon for sturdiness. So I got a bunch of this. Some of the colors I didn't find, and so I completed with I have a few in Cool Wool, which is a superwash merino, so this is much smoother, but because it's going to be the detail and my main yarn is this, I think it'll be okay. I couldn't find all the colors exactly, and so I had to fiddle a bit. My main blue, for example, which is this one, it's much more blue than what the pattern calls for. The designer's blue, light blue, is almost white, in fact. So I should have probably been better off picking up a very light grey or a cream if I wanted the exact same colors. But I saw some other Ravelry projects which were really blue and they look nice as well. It's a bit less contrast, but it's nice. And so I have started. And so the way the blanket is made is you make different pieces. You make squares, you make triangles, which are half squares, and you make some sort of zigzags. And then you assemble everything with quick Kitchener stitch, and voila, and it makes a rectangle. There's a schematic in the pattern, is very clear how you're supposed to assemble it. The triangles and the zigzag, they're sticked, because you're gonna knit them. Everything is knit in the round, so the full square, you start with a circular cast on and you increase along 4 lines and it makes a square. And so the triangle, it's going to be attached like this in the round, and then you're gonna stick it. So that is my problem. All of the edges of the blanket are gonna be sticked. And I don't know how to finish the blanket because you need a border. The designer sewed a fabric binding lining around, which doesn't look so bad, but I much prefer the look of a knitted border. Maybe moss stitch, maybe seed stitch. But the thing is, if I want to make a knitted border, I need to pick up stitches along the edge, knit double the length so I can fold it and then attach it to the wrong side so I can take the stick edge in a sandwich. I'm not worried about it unraveling. I've sticked before. The sticks are fine for me. Especially since I'm going to reinforce them, I know how to handle them. It's just that it won't look good, a sticked edge, right? So I need to make a border. But the thing is, with the knitted on border, it will use a lot of yarn. So I'll see. I'll see when I get there. Do I have enough yarn to make a border, or can I afford at that moment, to buy yarn to make the border? I'll see. I haven't decided yet, but yes. It's fun. It's really fun. When I knitted the blanket, the other blanket last time, I had quite a few people commenting, "Oh, you so such courage, etc." No, there's no courage in making something that I choose to do that is not forced upon me. It's fun. It's just fun. It's not necessarily complicated. It's knitted in the round, 2 colors, and it's really motivating changing colors. And because you knit it piece by piece, it's really satisfying for me. When I get bored of something, it's because, well, it's not the right project for me, or maybe I shouldn't have done that project from the start. For example, I kind of want to knit a boxy for years now, the boxy by Jorge Locatelli. I don't think I will ever do it because I'm not in the mood right now to make a big sweater just in stockinette for myself, in fingering way. So yeah, I don't do the things that I think will bore me, and a big project in itself is not something that bothers me so much. It's as if I was knitting 4 sweaters. Yes, it's going to take me a long time, but because it's in pieces, it's satisfying. I did try to make like the Attic 24 granny stripe blanket. I did try that in the past, and that bored me because it was just too much of the same. So yeah, I kind of can tell when something is going to be a bit annoying for me, and I just don't tend to do them. So this definitely is not a chore, core chore. I really enjoy it. It's really fun. Moving from one color to the next, so you can see this first square, which is I think the center of the blanket. It's going to be like this, with this sort of feathery motifs. I started making a second square, which I think will have a bird on it. Now you can see, even if my light blue is not so light, it still has decent enough contrast. So that's great. And yeah, I think this is going to be a bird because these are the feet. I think the head is this way, and then these are the feathery tails that are gonna swirl like this. So yeah, it is going to take me a while, but I like it. Yeah, I just want to say, because sometimes, yeah, people compliment knitters on their perseverance and bravery, and like, you're knitting, like you haven't found the cure for a disease. Like, it's, I don't know. it's okay. And yeah, for me, it's not a difficulty to make a long project as long as it's entertaining, which this definitely is for me. Like I said, my issue is going to be bordered because I don't know what to do with it yet. But I also don't mind Kitchener stitch. If I did, I wouldn't make such a blanket. Although you can 3 needle bind off. So you put the stitches on hold at the end. I made a modification already, is that in the pattern, the increases are right next to each other. So there's no center stitch. You increase, she has you do twisted yarn overs basically as an increase. And I don't really like them. It made a hole. It made a really big hole. So I did what other knitters on Ravelry did, is that I added a stitch, basically the center stitch that you see here that creates the increases, that follows the increase lines. It's not in the pattern. So I even added extra stitches to Kitchener stitch at the end. And I made make one left and make one right on either side. And I'm knitting this center stitch in the color of the increase. So yeah, that is a modification that I did. I think I've mentioned everything. And yeah, I hope that I will not put it on pause for as long as I paused the previous blanket. The previous blanket, I left it untouched for several months. And I hope that this I can continuously knit on it slowly if I don't overwhelm myself with other projects, which I might, because I have so many projects that I want to make at the moment. So, but yeah, I just want to do it little by little, and yeah, it's fun. It's colorwork in the round, and yes, I think I will stick the sticky parts as I go, because I will reinforce them. So I should be able at some point to start making progress pictures for Ravelry where I'm placing the bits where they should be. But yeah, this is what the fabrics looks like. Oh, the wrong side. So yeah, I mentioned that I don't want the sticked edge, but the wrong side for me is not a problem. I've gotten lots of questions with the previous blanket that I needed, which is also in Colorwork, and it's not an issue for me. The floats are neat, they're neat. I'm not complimenting my skill. I'm just catching them, basically, that's what I mean. I'm catching the floats. And like the yarn is fuzzy enough that it stays nicely. I don't have kids and well, I don't have pets at the moment, but when I have pets, they don't come near the knitted blankets because, yeah, that would be a bad idea. But even so, my cat, which is, I'm a parent, my cat used to make bread, you know, on the other blanket, and it still is fine. So it's, yeah. The wrong side. I'm going to weaving the ends as I go, of course, because this is something. This is the annoying thing, because people get all traumatized about the Kitchener stitch and the colorwork and the sticks, but weaving in the ends, that's the real problem. That's the real bravery in this design. But yeah, I'm just doing them as soon as I finish a square, and that will be fine as long as I keep doing this. But yeah, that is what I'm working on. Sorry for the cardboard. All of the yarn for the blanket is in a big box, and it's ugly. It's in my office, which, as you can see, I've sort of tried to decorate in an artsy way. And then I have this big cardboard box, which is ugly, so I want it out. So yeah, I need to keep working on the blanket little by little. Hopefully you will see it here and there on the podcast until it's completed. But yeah, that is all I wanted to share with you for this episode. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you again at the beginning of February. Have a lovely rest of the day, evening, and I will see you next time. Bye!